What makes work hard? We need to examine the role of engagement in work. Now, there are different models of engagement. There's a cookie cutter model where it's just you get a system and you follow it and you get an outcome, right? Then there's adaptive models. Now, this is a system like cookie cutter, but with adaptive models, there's flexibility and you change and you shift the model as you move forward. And then this holistic model of engagement and work. And that's where we start with the end result and we actually work backwards to figure out the best way to do this. Now, on your path to success, as you're chipping away and you're trying to accomplish your goals, all three have a purpose. All three have a place in your plan. So knowing when to use which one and when to move from one to the other is really crucial, and figuring out how to balance those correctly is going to be massively impactful on your ability to succeed. But remember, engagement is an exhaustible resource and it requires thoughtful investment. We've got to choose wisely.
I'm a pretty welcome to the video. Here. Have you ever had that life without hard? In this video, we will take about why a hard is the emotion to get away quick.
Then there's the emotional impact of work. When we work, when we're on a quest to accomplish our goals, work's going to trigger a variety of emotions. Some positive, some not so positive. There'll be joy, there'll be happiness, there'll be excitement. And then there's going to be anger and frustration and sadness. It's going to trigger all sorts of emotions. So learning to manage those emotions, especially the negative ones, especially that discomfort, is crucial if you want to stay focused. And we know you have to remain focused in order to accomplish your goals. But it's very easy to let those emotions, especially the negative ones, get the best of us. And then they start to block productivity. So again, in order to be truly successful and accomplish amazing things, it's important that we learn to manage those emotions, those negative emotions, not let them be roadblocks, because emotions will impact our work. And then there's the challenge of being uncomfortable. And on a quest to be successful, you will be uncomfortable. It's just part of the journey. I know in the different things I've accomplished in my life, I've definitely had these moments of discomfort and feeling uncomfortable, right? Serena, oh my gosh, everything that he's had to deal with on his journey, talk about feeling uncomfortable. But the bottom line is, we understand that that's a challenge, we accept that as reality, and then we control our reaction to the reality. It's a necessity that we understand that and that we deal with that discomfort. And when you go away to college, that's hugely uncomfortable. When you start a new job, when you're investing in building your own company, when you're trying to create a new relationship, there's all sorts of discomfort, right? But we've got to understand that that's part of progress. If we don't feel any discomfort, chances are we're just standing in the same place, right? Understand that discomfort is a necessary part of the journey. That's really important. And then we have to understand the difference between productive and unproductive discomfort, right? Because those are two different things. Unproductive discomfort holds us back, drains us, and that's going to stop us dead in our tracks. We're talking about productive discomfort, taking on new challenges, putting ourselves into, new situations where we're not totally know what we're doing, but we know that that's part of the journey. So again, it's crucial to understand the difference between productive and unproductive discomfort. And then we need strategies, right, to push through that discomfort so we achieve our goals. Then there are obstacles to sustained effort, right? We talk about chipping away and how you've got to chip away all the time. It's got to be this consistent effort, always moving us forward towards our goals. But again, we hit a roadblock, we hit one of those obstacles, and that's a roadblock for motivation. And then we start to burn out. How many of you have been in a situation where you felt that burnout? Not a good feeling and really hard to come back from. So figuring out how to not lose motivation and how to avoid that burnout is going to be crucial to our success. And part of that is what we've talked about previously, and that's chipping away at goals, right? When we're always chipping away, we've got these little successes, we're always moving forward, that's going to keep the motivation high. And because of those little successes, we know we're on the right track, and that's going to help us avoid burnout. And then, of course, we all have to leverage support and use resources to reduce the difficulty on our journey. And that's one thing that we can't emphasize enough. Something that Serena has talked about for years is sometimes we wear it as a badge of honor to do things ourselves and we'll handle it alone. We're not going to ask for help and those things. But that's not the way you do it at all. The most successful people reach out for support and they find resources to help them rather than just banging their head against the wall and trying to figure it out themselves. And ultimately, it's about finding the balance in the hard work journey, right? Because again, you can try to go hard all the time and give it all you got, 110%. We hear those sayings all the time. We see them on plaques on walls and, always give 110%. The bottom line is that will lead to burnout, right? So we have to find some sort of balance because we simply can't go full speed all the time. So we need to recognize that, yes, there are going to be parts of work that's not that enjoyable, that are really challenging and rough, but that they're necessary, right? We have to understand that discomfort is a necessary part of growth and moving forward. We need to turn inspiration into consistent activities despite the challenges that we have, right? Again, there's that reality in your reaction to it. We know there are going to be obstacles. We know there's going to be challenges, and we accept that. We actually embrace it because we know it's part of what's going to make us improve, help us grow, and drive us towards our goals. And then we create the right reactions to that. But accepting the fact that there's a duality of effort, hard work is both a struggle and challenge, but it's also a reward.